Welcome to the fifth session of BSc Physics. The topic of discussion is atomic physics. And in this session, we are going to have a discussion on the new model to explain the atomic structure. The contents of this session are the vector atom model and the space quantization. Now, from the limitations of the Bohr-Sommerfeld atom model, we have found that the atomic orbits are quantized in terms of their magnitude or size, but they do not tell anything about the orientation of the orbits. That is, there is no information regarding in which plane the electron is orbiting around the nucleus. As we see, the electron can choose any circular path of fixed radius around the nucleus. But there can be infinite possibility of circular paths around the nucleus. This leads to the idea that the choice of direction of orbit is unlimited, like a classical case. Thus, the magnitude of electron orbits is quantized and obey the quantum laws. But the orientation of the orbits is not quantized and obey classical laws. This is the outcome of the Bohr-Sommerfeld model. An atom cannot obey two contradictory theories together. This is the drawback of Bohr-Sommerfeld model. Coming to the vector atom model, this model is an extension of Rutherford Bohr-Sommerfeld atom models on the introduction of new spectral lines. It was introduced to explain the doublet structure of the alkali spectral lines and their relation to atomic structure. The two new concepts that characterize the vector atom model are the spatial quantization of the orientation of the atom orbits of the atom, and the second is the spinning electron. Coming to the first feature that is introduced as space quantization. So far, the motion of an electron around the nucleus is studied in only two dimensions. But according to Sommerfeld-Wilson, such a motion takes place in three dimensions, and there should be three quantum numbers, one corresponding to each degree of freedom. Accordingly, the third quantum number determines the orientation of electron orbit in space. This idea of quantization of orientation of the orbit in space is called space quantization. According to this, the orbits are assumed to be quantized both in magnitude and direction. To specify this orientation of the electron orbit in space, we need a fixed reference axis. Therefore, in this case, the direction of the applied external magnetic field to the atom provides this reference line. The different permitted orientations of an electron orbit are determined using the idea that the projections of the quantized orbits on the field direction must themselves be quantized. The Stern-Gerlach experiment gives proof of the existence of space quantization of the atom. The idea of space quantization leads to an explanation of Zeeman effect also. The rotation of the electron in the orbit constitutes an electric current. Such a current loop behaves like a magnetic shell having a magnetic moment mu L, which is equal to the product of the area of cross-section and the current, where A, area of cross-section A, is equal to pi into A square, which is the area of the current loop. I, which is the current strength, which is the total charge crossing any section of the orbit in unit time. Now from this, we can show that I is equal to E into nu, and substituting for nu is equal to omega by 2 pi, we get I as equal to E omega divided by 2 pi. Therefore, the magnetic moment mu L is equal to pi A square into E omega by 2 pi, which is equal to E omega A square by 2. Since the electron carries a negative charge, the magnetic moment is opposite to the direction of the orbital angular momentum PL, as shown in the diagram. According to Bohr-Sommerfeld theory, the orbital angular momentum PL is equal to me into A square into omega. Therefore, the ratio mu L by PL is equal to E omega A square by 2 whole divided by me A square into omega. Now, after simplification, we get the ratio of mu L by PL as equal to E divided by 2 times mass of the electron me. If the orbital angular momentum is quantized according to the quantization condition, PL must be equal to LH by 2 pi, where the orbital quantum number L must take integer values starting from 0 as 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Therefore, mu L is equal to E divided by 2 times me into PL, which is equal to L into EH divided by 4 pi me. Now here we can write the value of EH by 4 pi ME as equal to mu B, and hence the expression for mu L can be written as equal to L into mu B, where mu B, which is equal to EH by 4 pi ME, is called as the Bohr magneton, and this Bohr magneton is the basic unit of atomic magnetic moment. Now, this Bohr magneton contains all constants, and after substitution of the values of the charge, the Planck's constant, and the mass of the electron, we can arrive at the final value of Bohr magneton, mu B, as equal to 9.2741 into 10 to the power of minus 24 joules per Tesla. The current loop due to the electron circulating in its orbit thus behaves like a tiny atomic magnet. Whenever the atom is placed in an external magnetic field, each electron orbit will be subjected to a torque, and the angular momentum vector, which is normal to the plane of the orbit, will begin to revolve around the direction of magnetic field. This precession is known as the Larmor precession, which results in additional energy states in the atomic system. If B is the magnetic flux density and the potential energy of the electron due to the magnetic interaction is given by Um is equal to minus mu L into B. That is minus mu L dot B. So if we apply the principle of the dot product, we get it as equal to mu L B cos theta. But mu L is equal to L into mu B, and cos theta is equal to mL by L. Hence, is equal to L into mu B into B into mL by L. After simplification, we get mL into mu B into B. Now, this shows that the total energy of the electron in a magnetic field is given by ENLM as equal to ENL plus the potential energy UM. This is equal to ENL plus ML into mu B into B after substituting for UM, where ENL is the energy corresponding to the absence of magnetic field. Thus, ENLM is equal to ENL plus mu L into B into EH by 4 pi ME. This is obtained after substituting for the Bohr magneton mu B. Further, this is equal to ENL plus ML into H by 2 pi into EB divided by 2ME. This is obtained after rearrangement of the second term. Thus, ENLM is equal to ENL plus ML into H divided by 2 pi into omega L. Here, omega L is equal to EB divided by 2 into ME, which is called as the is equal EB by 2ME. After substituting all the values, we get the value of omega L as equal to 8.782 into 10 to the power of 10 B Bohr magneton per second. Thus, the frequency mu L is equal to omega L by 2 pi. And this mu L is called as the Larmor precessional frequency. The equation for total energy shows that an electronic energy level with a given value of N and L splits up into 2L plus 1 close-lying sublevels. Each sublevel has a slightly different energy determined by the magnetic quantum number ML. Thus, splitting of spectral lines occur due to the transitions from the sublevels of the upper states with different values of ML to those of the lower state. Such transitions are governed by the selection rule delta ML is equal to 0, plus or minus 1. Thank you.